Alright, time to continue our mana trial. Been actually playing through another New Game Plus over the weekend on Expert difficulty, which finally unlocked when I did the update. That's how long it's been since I played. I haven't actually played since they did the update with the new difficulties, so when I started the game, hard was the highest difficulty they had. Kind of glad I stuck to hard, though, because Expert is definitely more challenging. Even with the super experience bonus, you have a good chance of characters being killed in boss fights, and they take forever to kill, but it's largely the takes forever to kill that is the big problem as far as I'm concerned. You guys haven't finished that one off yet? Okay, there we go.
Could have won alone.
Of course, I set Charlotte to entirely protect, considering this I'm going to set her on the attack, so she might occasionally decide to use a heal to help us out. I almost feel like I want to go dark with her just to make her more of a attacker. So that maybe she'll get more spells she can use to zap the enemy with. Some of these wins you could actually get through with jumping and leaping. Some of them they don't let you. We're about to get our changes, so it'll be interesting to see. Didn't really need the mana, though. Not using mana on anything.
This will be faster if we fight together.
I also played around a little bit with the No Future difficulty. They give a interesting couple of abilities specifically for No Future, that your party members can't go below 1 HP and your HP is fully restored after every battle. But they also disable most of the more powerful abilities. Including the 300% EXP growth and the Black Rabbite's 0 MP for one of your characters during battle. And that difficulty is so high that even with, they do let you do the 200% CS at the start of every fight, so you can start with 2 class strikes. But still absolutely okay. Let's see. Gotta activate this one to get to that.
Bring him on. I can handle anything.
It'll be something to try sometime, but oh, so I have to go from the back way. Okay. Probably with No Future, the best way to get through it. I tried it out as a one, since this is doing the Kevin and Charlotte storyline. The first one I did, I started with Reese, so I did the Reese Hawkeye storyline. So I was starting with Angela to do the Angela Duran storyline, and that is a real nightmare, because with her low physical attack power, she was getting one-shot by basic enemies, and even with 2 class strikes wasn't able to kill them. Maybe with somebody like Duran or Kevin as your leader, you might be able to kill people first, but it's a pretty tough ask. actually. So this one's pretty weird. To get to the chest up there... No, we have to backtrack, I think. Because now, see, we can't get to the chest because that one's flowing that way, so...
Menace. Defeat it quickly and move.
Crosscut.
My true power.
Get ready.
You're still alive? Not for long.
Spirit.
No background music at this part is quite eerie.
Leave it to me, Wookie!
Don't hold back. Crosscut. Too easy.
I think it was originally a little bit easier to get through some of these windstorms without having to turn the thing with careful jumping and rolling, but similar to some of the other sequence breaking type jump stuff, I think they disabled that in the later patches. Chain vest, that's probably for somebody. Likely you, right? Yeah, because most of the chests you find are for your main character.
No more enemies. Not until next time.
Yeah, an expert, even after about the same level at this point, even after the first class change.
Leave it to me, Wookie!
Boss is right after this, and you get to class change first at the crystal if you're 18 or higher, which we of course are 32. Still ended up getting
What's that?
killed by the boss. It's very, very hard to
It's a mana stone. This is the first one I've
get through
ever
its power-up
seen in
phase.
person, too.
I'm not sure what they would call those normally,
The Benevodons sealed within were freed.
but many of the bosses have a state where they start doing a super AoE attack, and you can attack them, and they have a special health bar that depletes as you do damage, and you have to break them basically by doing enough damage to that health bar.
After all, come on. Sylphid must be nearby. Whoa! Look at these footprints. Is someone else nearby? Let's check them out. Who is switching classes? Try to
Okay,
switch your class.
I'm going to go light with Kevin, and I think dark with the other two, because on hard difficulty I really don't need the support that much of Charlotte's light class. Turning her into a nuker debuffer, which I think her dark focuses on more, might be better. He'll get some support healing. Any of them I go light will get better healing magic, but So we'll probably get real close to 38 here.
Who is switching classes?
I have 6 question mark
Try to switch your
seeds
class.
left over from my first playthrough. So I should be able to go back to town, plant those to get the question mark seeds. If I don't make 38 from this fight, I'll probably make it from fighting in the 2 bosses in the Ronte. Go ahead and go Gladiator, because I think overall the elemental swords will be a bit more useful.
Who is switching classes? Try to switch your class.
Class for a fighting healer. Yep, learn attack magic. Okay. Didn't read the Priestess fully, but it's been a while since I played Charlotte in the original as well, so... But was they saying that she learned Sabers as well? If she goes Priestess? That's interesting. Yes, you look very intimidating. Okay, now we can finally use all the training points I've been saving up. Alright, so what abilities can we learn? Let's first of all go ahead and max out his attack. Pressure Point is a attack boosting spell. That actually sounds kind of neat. Retain. Okay, that's actually useful. You can learn Healing Light, which I'm not really concerned about. Damage heal, 10% chance to recover 10% of HP when receiving damage. That feels kind of broken on any kind of non-big difficulty. And that's about it. Let's go ahead and get the Retain. I think that ability is real useful to get. Whoops, I don't want to equip it yet quite, but oh well. I always forget about that part. Okay, but we need the buff to do. So the only 2 spells he can learn at this point are Pressure Point and the Heal. Everything else is just abilities that he's learning. Conflagration attack help buffs his attack when he gets low on health. Don't need to worry about that. Let's see. Receive, yeah. 10% when using a class strike. That's actually moderately useful. I think just about everybody gets that. I'm going to go ahead and pick up Damage Heal next. Canceling out damage from an opponent. 50% chance of not getting back. It's only a 10% chance of recovering 10% HP, though, so it's not actually as useful as I was thinking. I was thinking it was a 100% chance. That's pretty broken. 10%, eh. The 5% of canceling is also kind of okay, but there was a chance of defense decrease. I'm just going to go ahead and boost up his stamina the rest of the way. Most of the rest of his abilities don't do very much. So let's go ahead and do payback. And I want to increase the duration of his spell so that he can increase his attack power and Duran's attack power with pressure point. Pardon me. And then it'll last twice as long, so I don't have to worry about redoing it. Okay, also want to max out his strength. That'll also give him attack saber, which is nice. Okay, all of his sabers come from raising his spirit, huh? So I guess I need to boost his spirit. At least as far as 12. So then I'll learn them all as we get the elements. But we start with Stone Saber, which will actually be useful in the next fight as we come up. He also gets retained for the same reason. I think I like that. What do the rest of these do? Weak point. Damage to elemental weakness increased by 15%. Unfortunately, that's one that only he can equip, but opponent's saber magic and corresponding elemental damage decrease. So counter saber. Survive is would be stronger in like no future, I think. Okay, let's go ahead and give him this to buff up his HP. Okay. Attack Saber and retain. Okay, now training for Charlotte. So she gets Healing Light plus Chest Knight. So she gets a couple of summon attack spells. Super Summon, summoning magic damage increased by 30%. Might actually be the best thing to go for. Those kinds of things are pretty crazy. If you start out with a very powerful attack, like on a boss, it means that it's easier to one-shot enemies. That's generally better in regular battles. Not all that great against bosses because it becomes instantly useless the first time somebody hits it. But when you're running through using constant class strikes like we do, and enemies are surviving barely, it would actually be useful. So I guess Spirit is the only thing I use to get her attack spells. I thought that she picked up some of the attack magic too. Maybe that's only with one of the other classes. Oh well. We'll go ahead and give her Chest Knight and Machine Golem and let her use those on the enemy. As well as give her Healing Light to recover all allies if she needs to. And to get Super Summon, it might increase the power of her attack damage too anyway, so let's go ahead and max that out. Okay, she doesn't get any other class skills from that, so what other skills would be useful for her? Attack increases by 5%. If she actually needed the attack. Let's see, Hard Ricochet. That actually sounds kind of cool. 50% chance of reflecting a stat decrease. Random debuff. Persist. Almost sounds like the best bonus I can get now, unless I use one of the chain abilities. But I didn't quite get there. Might go with recovery and super summon for her. I think that's blue. What other ones do I have? Break armor, recover HP. Don't need that because it's base attack up, defense down. It actually might be useful to give that to one of my other characters now. Might just go with recovery. Or limit break for an additional 5. There might be a couple of these that are even better. Magic attack by 5% in battle. Increases magic attack and magic defense when battle starts. We'll go with that one. Okay, so hopefully she'll use her summons all out. I'm back to using Kevin, that's fine. So we go into the big battle here. Okay, this very annoying enemy.
Sophie's in trouble!
Stop! Let Sylphid go!
You must have destroyed the wind statue, too!
He's gone.
Something's wrong.
Oh, he can only pressure point himself? That's too bad.
That guy do this?
You, however, can cast on
Don't
both.
worry and save Sophie.
Coming, Sylphid! Hang in there! Stronger than you think!
Boy, the difficulty difference between difficult and hard, since I've been playing, or expert and hard, is really crazy. Mostly just in these boss fights. I don't mind that I'm streaming the lower difficulty, though, because those boss fights drag out. I don't think they're all that fun when it just takes 20 minutes to kill the enemy. I mean, I've literally used cookies to try and get bonus experience from the fight, and they run out before I'm able to kill the boss.
Sophie, are you all right?
Ooh. Say,
Dark Knight, who was that?
I don't know. One moment he was looking at the Mana Stone, and the next he was after me. He drained my energy and summoned Persephone.
Was he after the Mana
Persephone
Stone?
is such a weird name. Where'd they get that
Planning
from?
to use it?
Almost looks like Harpy with some rearranged letters. A
I
Harpy
need your
seat.
help.
Harpicity would have been a,
I
at least
see.
more understandable name.
Well, you all saved my life. I'll stick with you until the bitter end.
Gotta get the Citadel back! Hurry! To the Somnosa Meadow!
Okay, 35, so we can't do our second class change yet. So we'll probably get the level up to level 38 by doing the Laurent quest, which is fine.
Watch out!
wonderful AoE on this kick, so now I can go ahead and...
Dangerous. Stronger than you think.
One of the reasons I switched over to Duran, I still remember well, was because his first class strike was missing a lot of the airborne enemies when he tried to use it. Duran seemed to hit them a bit better, plus his attacks just feel better in general, but now this class strike with its... Whoops, hit the wrong one, too bad.
Easy peasy.
She's summoning her chest knights on the enemy though, so that's good.
That's how it's done.
These chest knights and machine golems appearing are throwing me off a little bit, but I'll get used to them. But yeah, she's delighting to summon these on the enemy. I could actually increase the difficulty all the way up to expert if I felt I needed to, if the boss fights get too easy. Well, they're already too easy, but... If I feel that's getting a bit too boring or whatever, we will see. You can increase to no future or decrease it from no future, I think, because it enables and disables certain abilities. Or maybe you can decrease it from no future if you feel that it's too bad, but you can't go back up to it if you do.
Aw, I was just getting started.
Very appropriate comment from Duran. Sounds like he's whining because we wipe out all the enemies first with the whirlwind kick. Some of these high-level class strikes were both better and worse in the original game.
Before it does more damage.
Because rather than doing AoE effects, they all were either, they had two different modes. They had single target and they had single target, or they had, except for like their first class strikes, which were basically hyped up physical attacks, so they'd hit anything in range of your physicals. But pretty much every other spell or ability, including your high level techs, as they called them then, would either hit one target or all targets. All or nothing. All or one. Not nothing, but one. But that was it. So the good news is, if you were powerful enough and you used one of the attack all enemies class strikes, they would, you could wipe out all of the enemies with one, maybe two of them, and just go through real quickly, and you didn't need to worry about them moving out of the way. This is doing well, but sometimes it misses some enemies. Of course, you also had to build them up, so it wasn't like you could use them every fight like I can, thanks to the little cactus soul that gives me 200 CS at the start of every fight. Oh, I was supposed to turn up there. Whoops. Oh well, we'll just climb again. The drawback to those high-level techs, though, as well as using Angela, or possibly one of the others, maybe Reese or Charlotte, to try and damage all enemies with...
Leave it to me, Wookiee.
Leave it to me, Wookiee? Sure, Charlotte, whatever you say. Is that a lot of your high-level class-type enemies, the knights like those ones, the ninja, the werewolves, they would have copies of Kevin or Duran or Hawkeye's class abilities as well that would attack all enemies, and they would tend to use them as a counter when hit with very powerful attacks. Which, especially if all three of them countered before you could finish them off, would generally result in a party wipe. It's one of the things that made Angela of questionable use in the original game. Depending on how you play it, of course. Generally, I've always been a guy who tries to save all of my spells and stuff for bosses, because I hate having to refresh unless I have something that's free and easy to use. So it didn't bother me much. Most bosses don't respond that badly to getting hit by spells.
I'm so glad to see you safe.
So she's fine, but try to use her spells to protect yourself in regular fights and you just get killed instead.
Yep. Look.
Hello, nice to see you. Oh, leave this to me.
Turnabout is fair play. Of course, once again, I don't know how they were able to spread the Somnosa flowers all about without being affected themselves in the first place.
There may be enemies in the Citadel that did not succumb to the sleep spores.
Although they use that as a excuse to have enemies that you can fight, so maybe it's the ones who spread it.
There are candies and cups of
I don't need either since I haven't used anything, but I'm going to go ahead and switch to expert difficulty before going in. Let's see. Can I go? Yes, I can go to expert here. Just to, let's show off just how bad expert is. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, I can't use that to save it. Too bad. Against the normal enemies, we should still be able to wipe them out. Oh, good. Shade time. That will help out. I haven't even been worrying about that, but it just turning shade time as we come into here is extremely useful. So, yeah, I do have Dream Read, so, and I have them loaded, so if it turns day in the middle, I ought to go ahead and swap it. But yeah, everyone dropping instantly to the Somnosa flowers at least makes more sense than everybody dying of the poisoned water in Doma Castle in FF6. Okay, most of the fights are not going to be terribly difficult, even on expert. You can see they're not dying instantly, but a class strike will still generally wipe them out pretty quick. I think this gives access to a chest. Yep. Remember where exactly. Whoops. Stop spinning me around. Okay.
Don't worry. I've got
Too easy.
And then that just goes in the middle, so let's see. All of a sudden I'm having trouble remembering how to get up to there. Oh yeah, this staircase right here. Duh.
Take down stronger than you think.
Be careful. This could get ugly.
All of us together. Prepared? Oh, monsters in the Citadel?
And the Navarro agents keeping them as pets?
Stronger than you think.
I find it ironic that, yeah, these are both the whirlwind equivalents, which normally hit the whole screen and fly around. It's interesting that Kevin gets his on light side. They're equivalent. The kick version, the sword version are otherwise the same. But Duran's is on dark side and Kevin's is on light side. So since I decided to go that route, I get both of them.
You're a Navarro agent?
Wait, it's not what you think. I'm Hawkeye, and yes, I used to be a Navarran thief, but not anymore. I'm on the run. This is the fault of a horrible usurper named Isabella. She twisted the minds of the Navarran forces and attacked Laurent. I'm here to stop them. Please, believe me. Thank you. Honestly, I don't know what Isabella's true motives might be, but I can tell you one thing. A real Navarran thief would never, ever take a life. I knew her as Isabella, but after some digging, I found out the witch's real name. She calls herself Belladonna now, ever since she killed my best friend Eagle. And she didn't stop there. Belladonna gave a cursed item to Eagle's little sister, Jessica. If Belladonna dies, so will she. I couldn't do anything. So please, if you find Belladonna, don't kill her. Capture her instead. I know you don't owe me anything, but...
Okay. Cannot promise anything, but I will try.
I appreciate it. Well, I won't hold you good people back any longer. I'll go on ahead and see what I can do on my own. My thanks.
You think that Hawkeye guy is okay on his own? All right, clear your way. Leave it to me. what I'm really made. Cut you down.
Stronger than you think.
Cut you down.
My turn. Prepared? True power.
Let's take it out before it does more
Stronger
damage.
than you think.
Easy peasy. Leave it to me.
Prepared? Weak. Could have won alone.
In the remake, the strongest level 1
This enemy is
class
no
strike,
match.
rather than being Kevin and Hawkeye because of their double attacks working with it, is instead Reese. She has a smaller AoE version of this whirlwind kick and sword that Kevin and Duran are constantly using.
Cut you down.
Oh no, poor Reese.
No! Let her go!
Uh-oh. Meddlers.
We must tell Belladonna.
Thank you. The enemy commandant is in that room over there.
We will do this. You stay here. Rest. Okay?
You have helped me so much. But I must ask for your aid again.
You didn't do enough leveling with us. The only problem with games like this that have multiple different party members and you only pick some of them, but you end up meeting the others, is I feel bad for the party members I didn't pick. Okay, first boss fight. This thing, yep. This is the easier boss fight. After all of the crazy running around you have to do to get to this point and get up the mountain, then you get a pretty major... Your reward is 2 big dungeons. Actually, let's... I don't know what its element is, but we're going to go ahead and up that.
Not holding back!
Lightning Saber. Silver, you're up.
So look at the difference in damage from hard difficulty.
Cut you down.
Oops. I've been mini. That's not good. So this thing's almost half our level, and it's still taking forever to kill and beating us pretty badly. And there goes Charlotte. That isn't what I wanted. So the difference between hard and expert is a pretty insane jump. I really wish there were difficulty between the two. Something that was... I don't mind that I actually have to worry about staying alive in expert, even though I'm twice the level of the enemy at this point. But I wish that they didn't have quite so many numbers of hit points. It's actually a little bit worse because this party has no bonus abilities compared to... Like, you get to keep all of your equipment, and so if you have characters who have high-level equipment... chocolate is actually fine for me still. Ooh, one left. Okay, there goes my healer. Oh, that's everybody. Great. Luckily, everybody revives before the battle finishes, so everybody gets the XP. But with no future and expert both, it's really best if you have you're using characters that you've already beaten the game with and kept all of their equipment for. You can't just give them ultimate endgame equipment immediately because a lot of the equipment is class specific. So until you've reached the same class change, you can't use that equipment, but believe it or not, this is like the easier of the two bosses that are right here. Whoops, wrong one. Oh well. It gave me iframes and it killed that thing, so... But now there's so many of these. But since I've never done anything with this group, I don't have any good ability on them. On the other one I was playing through on expert difficulty, I had Angela and Reese and swapped out Hawkeye for Duran. And I went ahead and, because of being... how tough it is, I went ahead and Dark classed them again, even though I already had. Went to the other Dark that I hadn't before. Yep. So without good equipment, which I could have gone to Paulo and bought better equipment, perhaps. Which maybe I should have if I wanted to try this on expert, because now you can actually improve their equipment once they change classes, I believe. But without that, it's pretty darn rough. So I'm going to swap back for hard for this playthrough, because those kinds of having that kind of a nightmare in every fight, just the abilities and the high levels are not enough to make expert worth going through. You really need to have and have kept high-level equipment. On the other hand, it does make multiple playthroughs of this still feel interesting, because you can swap your characters out, and when you still get some of their higher-level stuff, it's not so bad. Okay, so menu options. So we're going back just to hard. So their defense is better, so they're taking a third of the damage, and they have like 3 to 4 times as many hit points, so. And then they give you another gold status immediately because we're about to fight another boss fight.
What? Secret attack? Fuse!
Stronger than you think.
Yeah, these guys, even on hard, dish out a huge amount of damage.
You'll regret this! Forgive us, Belladonna.
Third boss fight against Belladonna. Just kidding. She bows out.
I am Belladonna, servant of his dark majesty.
Huh?
I have no more need.
What kind of name is that? I agree, huh?
Do with it as you will.
Wait! Stop!
With your help, we managed to take the Citadel. Words cannot express our gratitude. The kingdom is reclaimed, but my father is gone forever.
Those guys could come back here at any time.
The Citadel defenses were mostly repaired by Navarro after the fire. We can defend ourselves, Your Highness. The Kingdom of Laurent will not be caught off guard again.
If Reese is in the party, that's the excuse for her to keep traveling with us.
Work on us either. Our next move is to make a search party for Prince Elliot. Your Highness, if you would only stay here at the Citadel and guide your people.
I know you are worried about Prince Elliot, Captain. You may leave the Citadel in our care. Please, continue your search. We know you are not the type of person to wait idly by in the Citadel while other Amazon guards attempt to retrieve the kidnapped prince from the enemy. Isn't that right?
Yeah!
Liza. Everyone, thank you. I will find Elliot and bring him back so that we may rebuild Laurent together. I entrust the Citadel to you until then.
Safe travels, Captain.
I will set out again to renew my search for my brother. Thank you.
Been a while
all
since I played the
for
game without
everything you
Reese,
have
so
done.
I'd forgotten that she
We
still
meet
sets
again.
out to try and find Elliot.
Thanks.
Of course, does no good.
Good luck with the search.
I don't know if we ever encounter her again either. I don't think so.
Got the
We'll
wind
run into
element.
Hawkeye again.
Let's tell the Hero King in Valsena. Come on.
While I was heading down that way, I should have continued all the way to Palo in order to do my question mark seeds and maybe look to see if I could get class-specific equipment. We'll go do that now.
I wonder, Navarlan's still in Palo?
Belladonna is gone, so I assume they're no longer under her spell. That takes care of that. Let's go to the docks. I can't swim, but a boat should be safe, right?
They replaced it. The only problem with Charlotte's speech, in my opinion, is some of the subtitles replacing her L's and R's with W's in the inappropriate places. Like, should has a slightly different accent to it in her language, but it isn't different enough that you would put a W in there to replace the L, because the L is actually silent.
My turn! Stronger than you think!
This one's so annoying.
I could have beaten them all on my own.
And there we go.
Don't worry, I got this.
No more enemies! Until next time.
Okay, if I do each of these seeds one at a time, every one of the possible items we could get should drop, which will allow us to upgrade everybody to my choice of second class. Oh, yeah, first we have the Niccolo Cutscene.
Hey!
You're with those invading hooligans.
As I'm thinking about it, I think the only character you don't encounter somewhere, unless we do find her somewhere else, is Angela. The only reason we saw Angela was because Duran's in our party here, but if we'd had, like, Hawkeye instead of Duran, you might never really encounter Angela in the entire game, besides when she's sleeping in the,
My friend is from Navarre, but he was being controlled.
In the first city.
It wasn't his fault. Please, spare him.
Fine. As long as you're sorry, I guess we'll let it lie. Let's go.
Thank you for saving me. After you left Navarre, things went from bad to worse.
The cat speech is more annoying to me than Charlotte's speech, too.
Belladonna began taking over everyone in Navarre with her magic. Those who figured out
It's a little bit easier for the Japanese cat sound nya to fit into places in their speech.
Until no one was left.
There's the adding the meow instead really corrupts the language, and it's just cringeworthy. Of course, they have to do that a lot more too, because the other thing they do with cat speech is just put nya at the end of sentences, because that's pretty common for Japanese because of the way the sentence is structured.
Since I broke Mew out of those cells, I couldn't do anything for Jessica. Then I fell to the mind control myself. It was bad news.
That's rough, Niccolo. It's probably not a good idea for you to return to Navarre yet.
I'm sorry. I couldn't protect Jessica.
I always found it a
It's
weird
not your fault. Belladonna put
twist
Jessica
or
in
flex
prison
or whatever
instead of
that
magic didn't work.
Belladonna gives her a cursed necklace, but the cursed necklace protects her from using mind control magic on her instead. Why are they mutually exclusive? Especially since one is an item and the other is gold aura. Now, because this is a new game plus, it might not work properly and we could get unlucky. We'll find out. Yeah, 2 gold auras. That's unfortunate. We might not even get enough for each character. Oh, geez. Come on. Battler tag, curse battle, battler tag. Okay, well, everybody has something. I guess my advanced classes are going to be determined by, what I found. Well, that's really fine.
Watch out! Stronger than you think!
All of the classes have cool things, so I'm not really super concerned about
Out of my way before I break you. Barely broke the sled.
which one I might be forced into.
All right, stronger than your way. Leave it to me. Can't get enough of this power.
This one is so annoying. Really helpful.
Whoops, wrong one. Oh well. I got lucky enough to hit 3 of them with it anyway, so...
Defeated many enemies for lots of money.
Leave it to me, Wookiee!
Stronger than you think!
Check it out. Who does more damage?
That's not the way yet. Gotta go this way first.
Leave it to me, Wookiee!
Let's take it out. Who does more damage?
Be careful! This could get ugly. That's how it's done! We can beat this enemy in no time! Easy peasy.
Get out of my way before I break you.
That's how it's done!
Okay, second class change.
Who is switching classes? Try to switch your class.
No idea which is which, so... Divine Fist, probably. That's likely what the gold aura gives me. I guess I should look at the items, because I think they tell what class they switch into. And then I won't have to guess. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell there. You still don't get to do the third class change, though, until, like, post-game stuff. Okay, let's see. Class items. Gold Era, Divine Fist. Yep, I guessed that right. Battler Tag goes to Edelfrei. And... those books are for Angela. Charlotte's Curse Bottle lets her go to Warlock. Okay. So Edelfrei and Warlock.
Who is switching classes? Try to switch your class.
Edelfry, Dark Light. Attacking and clearing Saber magic. So they're probably able to cast the Saber spells on all, which is convenient if that's the case. Which might be, to my mind, a little bit more useful than whatever special abilities he'd get in the other class anyway. Also not a big fan of that skull motif. So, whatever, that's fine.
Who is switching classes? Try to switch your class.
So she's going Dark Warlock. Kind of surprising. I would swap those around, I think, make Necromancer Dark myself, but whatever. Fetid Breath spell, huh? That sounds interesting. Interesting mixture. We've got a Dark, a Dark Light, and a Light. Chumbunk. Okay, now let's see what new abilities these grant us. Oh, I can quite get all the way to 33 with his strength, huh? Class Strike deal increased by 25% when HP at 100%. Don't really need that because I'm not in higher difficulty. That'd be really nice if I was in lower difficulties. So let's see. Nature Aura helps increase allies obtain CS in battle. That actually sounds kind of neat. Maybe I'll go down that way for that one. Revive, reducing total amount of CS gauge used by 50%. Some of these names for these abilities are totally non-intuitive. What they say, you can assume that they mean, since it's a benefit, 30% chance of defense decrease with critical hit. Doesn't necessarily, you could construe that to mean that your defense goes down. Obviously, you wouldn't equip an ability if it was that, so it's the enemy you're hitting, but they don't make that super duper clear. Revive sounds like it's something that you should be able to wake up when fallen or something. Instead, it reduces the amount of CS gauge used. That's actually pretty handy sounding. In a boss fight, if you get a couple of lucky hits, you can do a couple of class strikes cheaply. That's pretty useful. Ward off, decreasing damage from opponent. Defense help, increases HP when low. I didn't really have the abilities set up right for... so he doesn't get any other abilities besides the Nature Aura. So that's fine, just increase the stats. One hit class strike. Eventually I'd like to get that revived, but that's going to take some levels. For now, what do I put on his... other abilities? Let's see. Okay, so... yeah, he gets all by getting his spirit up to 27, which he can't quite get yet, but at the least he can get his all for those two. And then he'll get Leaf and Moon Saber, which are actually relatively useful. At least in higher difficulty things. Damage increased by 30 when hit by critical hit. Okay. Again, not totally intuitive, but you take damage and you have a 30% chance of, or you get hit by a critical hit, and your damage goes up 30%, period. Chance of critical hit increased by 25. That's actually, sounds nice. Attack Saber 2 would be really nice to get as well when I have enough points. Otherwise, defensive stance, defense up plus up 40 and offense down 40. Yikes. Not really great. Damage to elemental weakness increased by 8% for all allies. That works really well combining with Angela. That's something to keep in mind. Because if she's using attack magic on the weak point as well, that increases damage. While that only affects him. Does more, but it only affects him, but still useful, but not as such. Too bad that's only him. That'd be useful on, like, offensive stance. Attack increased 40 and defense decreased 40. That's interesting. A little bit dangerous, but if you want to go a glass cannon build, that feels a little bit better than a super defensive wall. Unless you also... That feels weird because I think he doesn't have the... Okay, he does have the provoke ability, so you could go defensive stance, provoke, and try and be a tank more. If you really wanted to. Alright, and so... Gremlin, Demon, and Fetid Breath, which I need Dark Magic for. Deals... Oh, Fire, I guess, because it deals fire damage. Maybe Dark and Fire. Who knows? Dispel probably requires Dark. Decreases enemies' magic attack and magic defense. So a powerful debuff in addition to decent damage, although Demon does more damage. But I like that. Definitely want to focus on these for now. Okay, now time to equip more abilities. Could increase his base luck, increase chance of item drops, doesn't matter much when I have so many items. Recover MP, but since I'm not going to be using that much... I don't know, maybe that would be useful to do. Maybe more for her. Stat down can be troublesome, so resisting it, although it's not a problem on hard. Hard is too easy, expert is a little bit too hard still with this particular setup. Base magic attack by 50, let's go ahead and do that one. That's what her focus is on. Let's go ahead and do the one-hit class strike. I almost like the attacker at this point. That actually seems, I wonder where that came from, because that actually feels powerful with a lot of the end bosses. We're also actually going into a place where we're going to find Dark Elemental, so maybe it'd be good to that, but I'd rather something that just will eventually go away. That won't become useless later. Maybe we'll just do Pinpoint. Should I do 50 luck or 10%? Let's do 50 luck, see what that does for him. Okay. Now we don't have to worry about class changing or doing more than setting a few base abilities for a while.
Stronger than defeat it quickly and move.
Let's take it out before it does more damage.
I gotta try out the new class strike too. Wham!
All right, clear your way. Leave it to me.
Alright, so Byakuya Wave is a giant Kamehameha in the remake. That's cool.
Let's take it out before it does more damage. That's what I call power.
Same as a lot of the dialogue from the little constantly spammed comments from my characters in Soul Calibur 3 Chronicles of the Sword. I find Charlotte's little battle quotes just very amusing.
Let's take it out before it does more damage.
Don't underestimate Charlotte. Be careful! This could get ugly.
Still the best overall for area effect killing of enemies quickly, this second one. A little bit faster than the Byakuya Wave.
Watch out!
Stronger than you think.
This'll be faster if we fight together. Must have taken out all the enemies nearby.
Okay, time to take our boat. No charge, no matter how many passengers. Hop aboard. Well, that's not suspicious at all.
still at sea. Oh, I feel sick. What?
Come on.
I'm on the job.
We're going to let Charlotte lead for a little while. Reasons that will probably become clear.
Don't like this.
I'm scared.
Yeah, it's none of them are on this level. I have to go to the next level. This next section is a little bit obtuse on what we're supposed to be doing.
No, no, no! Let me off! I don't want to be here! I want to go home! Wait!
That ominous thumping
Do
is
feel the
very
presence of
good for the
spirits
mood.
nearby, but it's faint. So there might be an elemental on the scary boat? I can't be certain, but stay on the lookout. Something's coming. Oh, be careful. Leave it to me, Wookie. This one's a doozy. Too bad. Easy peasy.
Okay, some of the chests on this place are traps. You can actually tell when you're finished because we've unlocked the number of treasure boxes from Little Cactus. Once you've got the maximum, you know all the rest of the chests have to be monsters like that one. And just because it's an RPG,
All of us together.
wow. 4,000 damage from the finisher. That was pretty extreme. There are zombies that sell items just because it's a JRPG.
Alright, clear your way. Leave it to me. Barely broke a sweat.
Alright, now we have to... This is the obtuse part of the quest. You have to shelve a certain number of books. It works slightly differently in the original, but kind of similar. I think there are 2 rooms that have 4 each, and you have to pick the 3 correct ones in each room. Here they have them spread out a little bit more for some reason. I think this is a trap chest. There's somewhere that tells you the correct ones to shelve. I have a warhammer that I got somewhere.
Looks good.
Maybe one of the chests in here had it. Oh, whoops. I was supposed to say no. Oh well. At least I don't have to undo it. Instead, they just let us, they just summon monsters for us. Oh, dear, terrible.
Could have won alone.
Leave it to me, Wookiees. Come and get me. Did you see that strike?
This is good quality.
Ooh, exciting.
$666 lucre. Definitely not themed or anything.
Good training.
Get out of my way before I...
Come and get me. Easy peasy.
Twilight Tome. Okay, that's the last one we shelve. Now the captain's log.
What's this book for? The ship's... what?
Death, 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 death.
No! Too scary!
Hello there. It's me, Matelo, the supernatural enthusiast. I have fulfilled a dream of mine. I'm a ghost. But now that I've tried it out, I think I'll go home. Now it's your turn to try. Farewell.
I don't even know the point of this.
Wait! What?
Besides adding a bit of dread, but removing a character from the party to turn them into a ghost serves no real useful purpose. Other than making all 6 characters seem extremely selfish, because this reaction is the same from whoever gets turned into a ghost. Okay, that's a little bit different at first. Charlotte's thinks it's funny.
Has passed to you. Once you're cursed, you can't get off this ship until you give it to someone else. Oh, that's all? Well, in that case... Oh no! They went away! I didn't know I was traveling with such big powers and meanies! To think they would abandon me like this! Does it really matter? You were considering switching places with one of your friends. Don't deny it. You caught me! Whoever, or whatever, made this curse is on this ship. The rest of the group should look for it. Well, don't dawdle! I can search instead if you want to trade places with me!
So I went to Charlotte so I could remove her from the party. I figured that I don't care about her experience as much. With the experience boost, if you still got that on, I can't remember who I put it on, so.
Monsters here make my hair stand on end.
But they get way behind. So let's see. One of these is fake, one of them is real. I think this is the fake one. Nope, that's the real one. Don't care about the experience, so we're going to ignore the other fake one.
My my turn. Stronger than you think.
She might have the experience boost from Little Cactuar, which would be kind of nice. Nope, we have the Love of Mana on still, so yeah. Just by beating the boss, you get a huge amount. If I was too worried about
Take down the enemy.
getting too far ahead, I'd just take it off, but whatever. Or maybe it's still in effect even if they're not in the party. I don't know. A Headless. This is the first Headless mana statue you see. Definitely doesn't do anything for the mood, eh?
Menace. Beat it quickly and move.
Oh, she's got the, okay, so yeah, it doesn't affect if you have it out, because she's got the ability that increases our class strike 200%. I'll have to save class strikes then.
Welcome to my ship of wandering souls.
Stop the curse. Let my friend go.
There is but one way. Defeat me.
Unfortunately, this party doesn't have any light power.
Can we win? Two shadows. Trap. Watch out. Stronger than you think. One down.
You have released my wandering soul. I would be honored to lend you my power and free your cursed compatriots.
I'm back! Did you miss me? Shade, if you're here, does that mean the Darkstone is on the ship?
Unfortunately, the Darkstone has been lost. In fact, it may no longer even be in this realm at all.
Huh?
Again, excellent reply from Kevin.
Devastation from a war, the likes of which had not been seen since the rise of the Benevodons. The ever-increasing darkness clouding the world activated the power of the Darkstone.
But then what happened to the Benevodon of Darkness?
It is as you assume. Humankind tried to harness the energy of the Mana Stones to bring about peace in the world. But it was not to be.
They soon fought amongst themselves over control of that very energy. Dark forces took advantage of this, and soon the world spiraled into an all-out war.
Oh, the Priest of Light mentioned something about that too.
The seal on the Darkstone was broken, and the creatures of darkness, including the Benevodon, brought the world to the brink of destruction. Since then, the Darkstone disappeared, lost to those of this realm. Bereft of my home, I was forced to wander the seas in this ghost ship for many long years.
Huh. Do you know what happened to the Benevolent of Darkness? How did the world avoid utter destruction?
I do not know. The Benevodon, along with the creatures of darkness, simply disappeared without warning.
What?
It has been many, many years since then. The world recovered, but alas, the Benevodon is not gone for good. I believe the monster may have once again returned to the Darkstone. It may even have been sent back from the darkness. I feel its shadow in this realm again.
So, even though humans have no way to deplete mana power on their own, the reason it's become so scarce might have something to do with the Darkstone?
So, why...
As the souls dispersed, this ship has no place in this world.
And now we get shipwrecked, sort of ship disappeared. It didn't wreck, it just vanished, but that leaves us shipwrecked because there's no better word to describe it. Marooned, that's a good word, on the shores of a volcanic island that's about to erupt. Out of the frying pan, into the lava.
Huh?
Most of the island looks nice, as volcanic islands tend to, actually.
Volcano looks ready to explode. We gotta get out of here. Somehow.
For his seeming lack of education in a lot of areas, Kevin seems awfully well educated about a lot of things like geography. Come to places and he's apparently somehow heard of them. Book Island, he recognizes that we're on Book Island immediately. This is an area you can't revisit because of the volcano, so if we miss any chests, we don't get them back. We can't come back and get them, I mean. You're trying for 100% completion.
Did you see the huge thing in the water?
There are no cactuses here, though, so you can't miss out on that, at least.
We must find a way off this island quickly.
Oops, wrong one.
I could have beaten them all on my own.
We know you could have, Duran, but you don't have to brag.
Let's take it out.
way before I break you. Everybody slack.
Take down the enemy. Menace. Prepare quickly and move.
This whole volcano is gonna explode!
All right,
Stronger than
clear
you
your way. Leave it to me.
Stronger than ever.
The tomato men make such interesting noises when they're taking damage.
All right, clear your way. Leave it to me. Let's take it out.
Stronger than you
Who does more damage?
A triumph!
All of us together.
That's what I call power.
Monsters! Lots of monsters! Why so many? Source of food nearby, maybe?
Wait! I don't think these monsters mean any harm. They aren't attacking us. Maybe you should try talking to one.
The ruler of the seas resides in a cave to the west of this town. To even have a chance of leaving this island, you must ask for its aid. However, the entrance to the cavern at the top of the mountain has been caved in by a huge rock during an earthquake. Destruction may come before you can dig around it. Man, if only we had a spirit that could, like, control earth and rocks and stuff.
Welcome. What would you like?
Looks good.
Nice. Top quality wood. Come again.
Photo pajamas. That sounds appropriate to the look of the equipment that she has on.
What would you like?
This is good quality.
Top quality wood. Use this.
Ooh, exciting!
Come again.
With the volcano so close to their village, these creatures are either tough as nails or just plain stupid. Wow, these monsters sure don't act like there's a volcano nearby. And they have a totem which acts as a mana statue, heals, and allows saves. So if you talk to more of them, they explain how they're a little bit fatalist. What will be. So even if the volcano explodes and destroys their home and kills all of them, well, that's the way nature works. That's the island they live on. Hilarious that they, too, of all places, actually use the same money as the rest of the world.
Find an escape.
Yeah. Time to head to Seaside Cavern. Let's take it out. Stronger does more damage.
I'm a natural.
All of us together.
Get him!
Men is stronger than you. Think quickly and move.
It's just getting started.
Watch out, prepared.
That's what I call power. All right, we'll clear your way. Leave us in
Looks like it's my time to shine, huh? There was a cave entrance here, but the volcano done went and plugged it right up. Give me a sec, and I'll fix it for you. Well, be seeing you.
Each of the three routes, as it were, the three villain groups, has two dragons, as you'd call them, lieutenants to the big bad, the final boss. One dragon from each is a lot more visible. Belladonna for the Dark Majesty, of course, is the one taking over Navarro, engineering the attack on Laurent, doing all that stuff. The one time you really encounter...
Of the seas. Come out, wherever you are. Don't worry, I'm great at hide and seek.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
You can blow at any time. Hurry, get stuck here. Revenge for Carl.
Feel stronger.
But the one time we find the second dragon for that group is here. The most visible for Duran and Angela's section is, of course, Corin, the Red Mage, the Crimson Wizard. They never give his proper name regularly. The Corin, which I'm used to, was the fan translation of it because he's supposed to be a Crimson Lotus Wizard, which is what Corin means. So at least it gives him a name to use, so I will generally refer to him as Corin because of that. Since they didn't give him a proper name of his own, just Crimson Wizard, ooh. Darkshine Knight, who we just encountered. You see him a little bit more often than you see Malvolio or whatever this crazy vampire's name is again. However, the two for this category, the Death Jester, or Gourmand, as he's called in this.
I'm done playing hide and seek.
He's the only person you see on from the Kevin and Charlotte route, unless one of those two is your leader. You won't see the other lieutenant unless they're the ones in charge of that. Oh, one of these is a monster.
Don't worry, I've got this. Where is the ruler of the sea? I'm done playing hide and seek.
Nighttime, so now I'm a more powerful wolf. Although they did a much better job of rebalancing attack power overall between Hawkeye, Reese, and Kevin and Duran. Kevin is still your highest damage character by a pretty decent margin. Simply because you can keep him in wolf form by making it always night with dream seeds. Which is why even in the remake version, Kevin is pretty much always a permanent character for any speedrun. That's just going to be a monster. I'm going to ignore it. We're getting plenty of experience. Here he is, vampire dude.
I am Malocchio.
Malocchio, that's right.
With the prophecy heralding his Dark Majesty's triumph, I am here to end your lives. It is foretold that you may disrupt His Majesty's plans for this realm.
Who is Dark Majesty? What have we done to you?
There is no need for you to know the minutiae of our plan. After all, you will not leave here intact. This active volcano will soon bury you all alive!
Ah! Volcano! It's erupting! What do we do? What? Wait. Helping us.
The ruler of the sea. A giant turtle wearing goggles. One of the most important buttons of the game makes a honking sound when you're riding him in the original.
Thanks! Saved us.
I don't know if you can do it in that first trip anyway.
Go back to Valsena and ask the Hero King about the other Mana Stones.
What do you mean I'm supposed to hit that text box?
Father of the Seas was cute and helpful.
Do you even understand what cute means, Kevin? I think you need glasses.
You think?
You do if you don't think I'm 100 times cuter than that creature.
Yep.
You have returned safely. That is fortunate. I see you have located 4 of the 8 elementals. Light, earth, wind, and darkness. You have 4 left to find. You are halfway to your goal. The Waterstone is in Altena's territory. Its elemental, Undine, may be found to the south of Frostbite Fields in the Labyrinth of Ice. However, I have heard that Altena has already activated the Waterstone's energy. Please, take care. To the south of the Burning Sands is a treacherous place known as Fiery Gorge. The Firestone and its keeper, Salamando, can be found there. Southeast of here is the sprawling Dusk Moon Forest, home of the Beastmen. I have heard the Moonstone lies within its borders, but I know nothing more. Beware the Beastmen's strength. It would do you well to change your class before you attempt to cross into their land. The Woodstone is said to be in the woods of Wanderer. Dryad, the stone's elemental, should be located nearby. However, you cannot reach that forest via a land route. South of the woods of Wanderer is Lampbloom Woods. The elfin settlement of Dior and all its secrets lie within. If you ask the elves, they may have some advice for you. You appear to have received help from Vuskov, ruler of the seas, to escape Buka Island. I assume it is because you were chosen by Fairy. Here in Valsena, we have a flute that has the power to summon Vuskov. However, because the creature is not fond of humankind, we sealed it away.
Yeah, just like every non-human.
If
in
Vuskov
most
has
of these
accepted
worlds.
you can use the flute to summon the creature by playing it on any sandy beach in the world. Vuskov will come to you. Take it with you, with my blessing.
Interesting little Easter egg is that no matter who you have leading, who you use the party, and who you use the flute with, both the flute and later the flammy drum are always used by the main character. Whoever you picked as the main character is the one who uses the flute or drum. Now, he told you in the order you're supposed to go to them. You need the Moonstone to get into the Woodstone. So the Woodstone is definitely supposed to be last. Maya puts us closer to a beach. For some reason they want us to take the cannon here. We would all otherwise have to wander a lot to find a beach anyway, so it's better to take this. The two most interchangeable are definitely the water area and the fire area. We should be going water first, then fire, but because I have more fire abilities, I think I might go ahead and do fire first. Besides, Bill and Ben don't have an elemental affiliation anyway. So then I can use fire attacks against the... although I think they're machine golems, so I don't think elemental matters either way in this case. We'll find out. Yeah, maybe we'll just go water in order then, now that I'm thinking about it. Let's go ahead and train up. Okay, max out our strength. And now let's go ahead and get that nature aura. I now have healing light, so I have a secondary healer. Oh yeah, I already got... Okay, oh yes. That gives me all of those other sabers once I unlock them. Golly. I'll go ahead and get Attack Saber too, because that's actually better, but otherwise... Let's go and do this so I can get Leaf and Moon Saber as well, once I unlock those elements. Attack Saber to Attack Saber 2. And finally, Charlotte. Finish out Spirit. Oh, she gets weak point all as well, just at 21. Okay, let's go ahead and move towards that. Lynn's way over there. Gonna need a lot more experience if I want to change my class. He always says that in this town. I would think that after all the events that happened, it would change, especially since you've changed your class twice. No need to worry about it anymore, okay? Ooh, Spiral Claw, nice. Oh, and it looks like a ultimate hat for... So once you're in New Game Plus, you can start finding ultimate equipment for all of the characters in their... in any of the item seeds. So look at that attack power. Now, Expert would not be quite so bad. At least in the sense that Kevin could do a huge amount of damage, at least. When you play through the first time, you can only get those items from Rainbow Seeds. You have better chance from higher level seeds, but you can get them from anything once you're of the right class in a New Game Plus.
I'm on the job.
Come on.
Okay, and just to show this off... Oh, I need to add the fairy flute to my inventory, that's right. One of the annoying things. Okay, key items. Instead of the Mole Bear Claw, that's fine, we can do Mole Bear Claw stuff. So I use it. I need to be facing the party so we can actually see. And Kevin's going to play it anyway. Because he's the leader. I know my sisters both would probably disagree. At the very least, Mouse sister will disagree that Charlotte is 100 times cuter than Vuskov. Ah, there's Little Horn sound. Yeah, I'm going the right way. Whoops. When SD3, as we called it back in the day, Seiken Densetsu 3, SD3 for short, since it was never released in the West with the name until 2019. Back when it was played at RPG Limit Break, constantly sounding the horn of Vuskov while riding him, or Buskaboo as the best translation at the time was actually an incentive that people donated for.
Snow! Oh, I like it! Oh, it tastes cold! Before the Mana Stone, can we play in the snow?
How adorable. Okay, one item to grab. I don't know if these guys actually have any better equipment. I know they won't have a better weapon for Kevin. Haha.
Welcome. Lots of wares to browse.
Looks good.
Oh, good choice.
Good work.
Come again. Welcome. Lots of wares to browse. Come again. Well, lots of wares to browse.
This is good quality.
Oh, good choice.
Nice. Ooh, exciting.
Come again.
Labyrinth of ice ahead, past the fields.
Losing feeling in my fingers already, but I can do this. The sword master in the world ain't gonna lose to a little snow.
It's doing about twice the damage he did before. Walking on those little ice floes makes a very weird sound effect. Kevin's running through the snow barefoot and enjoying it all the while. Beast men, even half beast men, are made of sterner stuff. Moogle mask. Probably a hat for Charlotte, and probably not as good as The one we got from the thing. Unless it's for... Nope. Yep. I believe, though, that pretty much all of these items that are found in chests are useful because, at this point, pretty much everything we buy, as well as a lot of the stuff that we find from seeds, stuff that we buy and stuff that comes in seeds is specific to the individual class. But items that we just find in chests like that should be usable by any of the appropriate, used by the appropriate character regardless of what class they are, including basic. Because with my other party, my original party had, had Lise as my main character. Reese as my main character. And so when you're invading the main castle of your main character at some point, you'll find a very powerful item in a chest. Which, again, in the earliest speedruns, before I think that they patched out that you could do that, you could do some jumping, attacking, dodge rolling to clip out of bounds in Kevin's starting town to get up to a chest where an endgame with an endgame weapon in it. And so even though it's an endgame level weapon, it doesn't require any particular class, so... Which makes sense, in a way, because rainbow weapons and stuff only work for classes that you've already changed to. But opening chests, you could theoretically do at any point. So while it checks who your characters are before assigning contents to the chest, it doesn't recheck for classes. It makes sense to me, at least, that it does it that way. While doing seeds is always a random roll and checks your condition, like, you know, it can only assign class change items based on the characters you have, and if it wasn't programmed to be able to do that, you could go through 30 seeds getting stuff for characters you didn't have, or for class changes that weren't possible, like, because if you went light, getting the dark item would not help. Get him, demon! Good job, Charlotte. You summoned those demons.
Broke a sweat.
Okay, our first... No, that isn't true. First boss fight I'm going to be able to use my big class strikes on since
Wait 1 second.
changing the party.
That's the knight who hurt Sylphid.
Duran always takes charge here if he's available.
Cease your toil.
Angela's second priority since it is their enemy.
And the portal to the sanctuary of mana will be opened, no matter what. The mana sword will belong to the Dragon Lord.
Dragon Lord? That's impossible. My father took that fiend to his grave. He sacrificed his life by throwing them both into the abyss. Don't lie!
Are you Duran?
What? How could you know me? Who are you?
Now we get 3 golems instead of 2.
Oh, I remember! The machine, stone split gas! That man! Probably with Altina! Hollow flash!
They're still trying to self-detonate when they, self-destruct when they get low. Golly. Okay, now hard is officially too easy since I was able to kill all 3 of them with a single class strike.
No. The Dragon Lord can't be alive. That means my old man sacrificed his life for nothing. I ain't buying it. You hear me? I won't!
The Mana Stone is nearby. I can feel the elemental's presence. Let's hurry!
Alright. I think now it might be a time to, go ahead and swap to Expert. Ha! Convenient timing there. Now that I have a powerful weapon on Duran, change the AI a bit so those 2 will help out a little bit more with the healing. And I think I can do this on Expert going forward because I just wish there was a difficulty between them, because Expert actually gets really hard if you don't have not only new game abilities and stuff, but powerful items from New Game Plus. Like good weapons on everyone, yet hard is just too easy once you've gotten some levels and class changes and stuff. Seems like we're exploring a dungeon, but we don't go very far at all before... Look, right here. Yeah, in like one room. Not even any of these monsters do we actually have to fight. We come back to these places later when we have to kill the Benevodons.
But we can wait for that night to activate all the stones. Then the portal will open without us finding elementals. Right?
No! We can't let them release the mana energy like this. It drains it from the world faster. Even if it opens the portal, it'll permanently wither the mana tree.
It's nice that they at least address a issue like that.
The mana power everywhere. If this continues, it might even weaken the seals on the Benevodons. The seals could reach their breaking point. We must find the elementals before the forces of evil release all the mana energy. We can open the portal and secure the sword. Please understand.
Oh, got it. My mistake.
I just want you to know how dire the situation is. But we can do this.
Oh my.
Undine! You're crying. Are you hurt?
No, no. You're on such a noble quest. I was just so moved. Do pardon me. With mana getting weaker, I've been so quick to tears lately. Have no fear. I will gladly lend my power to your cause. Happy to make all of your acquaintances.
Search for the next Mana Stone. Come on!
This cold really improved my endurance.
So in the original game, if you're doing a lot of grinding, you might... Well, you couldn't do a second class game anyway because you don't have access to the question mark stones. in the original game, you would only be about level 11 or 12 when you find the Wind Stone. And then you're probably going to be, by the time you get to this stone, after fighting through all of those other things, you might be closer to 20. So your class changes would come a little bit late.
Leave it to me, Wookie. Did you see that? I was great.
Sure you was.
We can take the enemy in no time.
Get out of my way before I break you. Can't get enough of this power.
That's how it's done.
Stronger than you think. These men don't use money. What's a buy?
I'm glad they turned down the amount of times they say that, because on a New Game Plus it gets forever. But in the, I remember in the original games I was playing, people would make money comments after almost every fight once you got to a certain point, like 100,000 lucre or something.
Too easy.
Got just about max in many of these healing items, so might as well use them.
Can we make a snowman after we defeat the enemy?
So one of the little things they obviously did in the patching was reducing the amount of times that characters talk about having too much money.
Burning sands. Let's go.
I want to go to the desert.
Get down. That's an interesting way to translate disembark from a turtle. I guess it makes sense. You get down off of him and back onto regular ground, but just a weird way to express it.
is better. Hot is bad. No food around here. Where is the mana stone?
Good rest when you need it, but don't get lazy. We got places to go. Oh, there it is. I think this has the same equipment as the last place, but I'll check it anyway. So, Charlotte, what do you think about the desert now that you're here? In the shade, huh? How is this place so hot? Am I gonna dry up completely? No, thank goodness, because food and thirst and exhaustion are actually not stats in this game. Yeah, same stuff.
Come again.
With that, not even gonna bother checking the armor, since it's likely to be all the same. Maybe I should, because it might have helms. Sometimes there's that, but it's generally the same quality, so that you can't just go to the higher level place, buy all the stuff, and then do the 4 quests, I think. Yeah, still the same.
Come again.
It's odd how after the first couple of helms here in the remake, they don't give you much opportunity to buy. I remember that in the original, there were definitely a lot more helm and basically arm pieces or accessories, whatever you want to call it, the third equipment slot that you could buy for defense. The third ones don't matter as much in New Game Plus, of course, because we've got all of the Benevodon bonus ones we can equip that are better defense and half a lot of elemental damage, which could be really useful if you're a little smarter about equipping the right ones, but whatever. But, like, the third shop, I think, had
Is that anything out there besides sand?
armor, but it had, like, helms on, like, the third armor shop we visited, but we haven't seen any since then.
Taking out all the enemies nearby.
Gold item seed. That's the most valuable thing to find, because that gives a decent chance of getting something good.
My true power.
Alright, so actually, we do want to go in here real quick.
Stronger than you think. Got you. Next.
Finally, he has a good combo. Silver blade. Interesting. Slightly better than that bastard sword, at least. It also means he would have a decent starting weapon if I New Game Plus from this file now.
This could get
I feel stronger.
The Firestone's got to be around here somewhere. I think I will find a shady
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Here we are. In the original game, the purpose of those springs was to look at be able to see the map by popping up into the air.
And with that, peace has returned.
I think it's pretty nice that they use them in this to provide a little bit of platforming stuff, reach high areas and things.
Don't underestimate Charlotte.
Dangerous. Stronger than you think.
That's how it's done. Be careful. This could get ugly.
Stronger than you think. You. Hurry. Let's move.
I want to go this way for chess, I believe.
Let's take it out. Before it does more damage.
Can't you tell? We are getting stronger.
Alright, so that is back to where we came, so we want to go this way.
Take down the enemy. Stronger than you think. Learning. Getting stronger. Got it.
Again, decent timing on shade time.
Firestone's got to be around here somewhere.
Darn, I knew I should have used one before that. Oh well. Oh, of course we have this too. Alright, Bill and Ben fight. Gonna train a bit. Let's see, what are we going for? Nature Aura. Increase all enemies' magic defense by 7. Just always on, huh? Or increase weak point. Well, we're not really a caster-based group, so the magic defense down probably isn't as useful as the weak point all.
Ugh! I lifted your curse. Now show some gratitude and prove your usefulness. Bill, Ben. I believe you have a score to settle. This is your last chance.
Yes, ma'am! Stop! You'll have to face us.
We won't go easy on you like last time. Behold this dark power that Belladonna has given us.
Let's get it done, Ben.
On it!
These are really rough on Hawkeye because Bill and Ben were some of his friends in the Navarro Thieves Guild. His two best friends next to Eagle, who you're forced to fight and see killed. Oh god, I keep wandering into his attacks and just dying. Golly, this feels even harder than the other expert I was doing, but it really shouldn't be. Okay, let's I don't really think that matters too much. The AoE signs sometimes for some of these more normal attacks don't work well. Bam, there we go. Okay, took him down. His, his super high-powered Kamehameha class strike does a huge amount of damage with this ultimate power weapon.
What could Belladonna be doing here anyway? Is she after the Mana Stones too?
Oh, we're fully healed already. Okay, let's just go on. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. It feels kind of weird that Belladonna had the thieves attack and invade Navarro because she says she got use from it, but they don't really do anything. The closest they come to it, to doing anything with the kingdom, is the planning to use Reese's little brother as the new body for the archdemon, his dark majesty, whatever, to put into. But they capture him and take him away before they invade the place, so they don't use the opportunity to take control of the Windstone, because the person who does the Windstone is, here we actually have another mini dungeon, unlike the Ice Labyrinth version. We can't go through that flame until later. Luckily, although they're getting hit by it and complaining, they're not actually taking damage. Very nice little quality of life that in situations like that where naturally you can't really control much of anything, your AI doesn't matter.
Get out of my way before I break you. Next. Now that's what I call power.
Stronger than you think.
I was great.
Nine treasure boxes here. We can barely only get 7 of them though. Like the Labyrinth of Ice, we'll have to come back here later in order to fight the Benevodon. And that one path at the beginning that had an obvious flame wall even on the map blocked off was part of that.
So hot. Will we even make it? Can we weave instead, Fairy? This is so annoying. Can't you tell?
I love character banter. Got hit by that time.
Owie. Ouch. Be careful. This could be ugly.
Not as much damage since I'm not full strength now. I'll get there fast enough though.
No more enemies. Not until next time.
They bait a little bit into this is really an unnecessary save because there's no boss fight. They bait you into thinking that maybe now you have a second boss fight against Belladonna, or maybe a fire elemental critter she summons. But instead, it's just a cutscene battle.
Come no further, unless you want me to throw her into the flames. No.
If Hawkeye's in your party, the surprise person who startles her and scares her off so you can rescue Jessica as Niccolo. And Hawkeye as Niccolo take her back to safety to the town to rest.
Oh, she's hurt.
She's unconscious, but we can't leave her in this weakened state for long. Belladonna cursed her. Something managed to break the curse, but Jessica's been wearing the choker of death for so long. Her body and soul are both at their limits. She needs rest. Hang in there, Jessica.
Hawkeye?
I'll take her back to the Oasis of Dean. You need to follow Belladonna. She's trying to release the energy of that Mana Stone. Good luck.
Behold! This is the pure energy the Mana Stones hold within. I lifted the girl's curse so I might sacrifice her life to break the Mana Stone seal and bring us closer to the sanctuary. But you foiled that plan. Luckily, I used the souls of Bill and Ben in place of hers. Thank you for defeating them and providing me an alternative. We are one step closer to the sanctuary. All hail his dark majesty!
Oh no! She's released the energy from the stone. Now we know that Belladonna's trying to open the portal, just like the Altanans. Everyone is after the sword. Things could hardly be worse. If the sword of mana falls into evil hands, Mana Tree will die. Mana power will disappear. Then the Benevolence will be released. We cannot let that happen. We have to find the elementals and open the portal before the enemy does. We need that sword.
I hear ya. That lady royally messed up the Firestone. Take me with you. Then we can all make her pay. She's gonna get it.
Glad to see you fired up.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Fire and water found! Where do we go next?
We can try Duskmoon Forest, the southeast of Volsena. Beastmen of the forest are supposed to be strong. Sounds like fun to me.
Odd that Duran doesn't offer a comment on that. I don't want him to go past all those fire pits again, so this will be one of the few times I'm like, yep, escape rope. I don't even think about escape ropes most of the time. Remember to use them, but this place I definitely want to get out quick. I hate the stupid flame traps. They're not really hard to avoid as long as you're not trying to go through, but the problem, of course, is that I want to get through here as quick as possible. So I try to get through windows and sometimes get hit. I did pretty well this time. Only got hit by one of the flame spouts at one point. Okay. I think this is a good spot to take my daily break. So I'll be back in 20 to 30 minutes. Take care until then. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, just move on to the next video.